the Aces Let's Do It podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Archer, and this week it'll just be by myself. Last week I had my cousin Nick Rich on to talk sports, but this week just be me. Hopefully we can have Nick back in the future. I've talked to him, and he did say that he wants to come back, so hopefully we can figure something out. But for this week, it's just me, and this week we might be a little light on the news because really the only things going on are the NFL and college football. But we do have some MLB news, so we'll start off with that and then go into the football later on than that. So without further ado, let's kick this thing off with the Gold Glove winners. These were announced just the other day. And we're to start off with the guys on the mound. Max Fried and Griffin Canning both won Gold Gloves. Griffin for the AL in the playing for the Angels, and Max Fried for the Braves. I almost said Dodgers. Max Fried's a really good pitcher, and the ability to field it just makes him that much more valuable. I mean, he was undefeated with an ERA in the twos this year. But he's really good, and he's going to be a really good pitcher to come. Same with Griffin Canning. These guys are really good, and not just in fielding, obviously, but pitching too. They're really solid. Moving on to the backstops, Roberto Perez of the Cleveland Indians snagged one up. He's really good. He's really good with the glove. I like his framework behind the plate, and I like his presentation to the pitchers. That's something that I think is really underrated. Back in high school, I used to play catcher, and I did pride myself on the ability to have a good target for the pitcher. And I think that's something that's lost. Obviously you get these, guys like Yadi who can throw the ball very well from behind the plate and make outstanding stops. But the presentation to the pitcher is probably the most important, because if you have a good chemistry with the pitcher and he likes the way he's set up, you're probably going to have some very good success. And Roberto Perez does that. Another guy who also does it is Tucker Barnhart, the NL winner of the Gold Glove for catchers. He's been really good for the last couple of years. I remember when he came up, I think in 2016, he started really getting some recognition, and then he played sparingly, and then I think he won a Gold Glove in 2018. And now he's back with his second Gold Glove of his career. And me being a Cub fan, I see a lot of Tucker Barnhart. And not only is he really good behind the plate, but he also is a pretty decent hitter. And he's definitely a tough guy to go up against. He's got a great arm, got a great release. He's got good pop time too. Both of these guys, they have really good pop times. And I love seeing big athletic catchers, man. Tucker Barnhart's no small guy, and neither is Perez, but man, they move really well behind the plate. And I love watching catchers. I don't know, maybe it's a little biased. Moving on, we're gonna move on to what is this? Right field. For the AL, Joey Gallo. We all know Joey Gallo can play everywhere. He can play first base. He can play the outfield. I bet even if he wanted to and was in a pinch, he could play third base because he's got the arm. I mean, I've seen him make some outrageous throws from right field and center. And he's just a big physical specimen human being. I think he's like somewhere at like 6'5", 240. I mean, this guy is just a massive human being. And I'm not sure if this is his first Gold Glove, but he's definitely deserving of it. He had 12 defensive runs saved this year. And that's right up there with Nolan Arenado. And when you're in races with that guy, you've done something right. So hats off to Joey, and I hope he continues his success, because he's one of the guys in the big leagues that I root for outside of my Cubs. I don't know. There's just something about Joey that is kind of polarizing. Another polarizing player is Mookie Betts. This guy has won his fifth Gold Glove. This guy was drafted, I think, as a shortstop, developed as a second baseman, and then the Red Sox moved him to the outfield and then brought him up eventually, and then he's just been a mainstay for not only the Boston Red Sox, but now with the Los Angeles Dodgers after getting that 12-year contract and finally bringing Los Angeles a championship for, I think, the first time in over 30 years. And I think he's going to be really good that entire time of that contract. We see a lot of guys sign long-term contracts and kind of fault off at the end. I don't think Mookie's going to do that because we know the speed won't always be there, and maybe the bat speed declines. But I think his defensive ability is going to be bar none. And he, man, he's fun to watch. Man, he made some great plays during the World Series, robbed a couple of home runs, I think, and he deserves it. Man, he's really good. And it sucks that he's in the NL because my Cubs, if they got any shot of making it back to the Fall Classic, they had to go through the Dodgers. And this guy, he's really good. And I hate playing him. All right, moving on to center field. The rookie, Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox. He earns a Gold Glove, and he's like Joey Gallo. He can run, he can hit, and he can throw really well. He plays a great center field. With everything going on this year, the Cubs played the Sox more than they usually do, so I got a good look at Robert. Not that I would have anyways, but I got to see him during a live game, and he's a superstar, man. He's got all the makings to be the next great Mike Trout. When Mike Trout came up, we knew that all the athletic traits were there, but were the intangibles there? And man, do both of these guys have intangibles through the roof? He's fast. He's a five-tool player, man, and he's going to be fun to watch for the next. Well, I know he's on a 6-year contract with the Sox, but he's definitely going to be fun to watch for the next decade at least. And then the NL, another young guy, Trent Grisham, won a Gold Glove. This one surprised me a little bit. I thought Cody Bellinger was going to take it, but lo and behold, Grisham takes it, and I think they acquired him from the Brewers when they sent over Zach Davies. No, they acquired Zach Davies and Trent Grisham for. I think they gave up Luis Urias and man, his name's escaping me right now. But I know that he came over from the Brewers, and he was really good, man. I think he had an average over 300 this year too. So he's definitely going to be a player to watch for the next couple of years because he's really good. Like, I'm going to keep saying that he's really good because these guys really are. There's really no guys on this list who are just one-faceted. I mean, they all can play really good and swing the bat very well. And we obviously know if they win a Gold Glove, they get a good glove. Moving on to right field, the NL winner, moving on to left field. The NL winner is Tyler O'Neill. He's an athletic freak. When you look at this guy, he looks like a bodybuilder, and part of the reason why he looks like that is because I think his dad was an actual amateur, if not professional, bodybuilder back in the 80s and 90s. This guy is really good, and like I said before, being a Cub fan, I see this guy a lot, and he's got potential through the roof. So hopefully for Cardinal fans, him winning this Gold Glove is that next step he can take to being an all-world left fielder because there are some issues with the bat. He strikes out a little too much and doesn't walk a lot. So if he can shore up those things, he's definitely going to be a player to watch for many years to come. Moving on to left field, the 36-year-old Alex Gordon. He gets a farewell Golden Glove. He announced his retirement this season and is his 8th Golden Glove. And he's been a mainstay in that that Royals organization for a long time. And I love it when guys who are drafted and then come up with the same team and then finally retire with that team and spend their career with them. And Alex Gordon, he's a great guy from everything I've seen. He's a good player, and he's meant a lot to that Royals organization. And it was really fun to see him win a championship in 2015 because he definitely deserved it. The Royals have been up and down the last, better part of the last 2 decades. So Alex Gordon being there with the sustained success of the Royals in the mid-2010s was really nice to see. And he gets a farewell gift from the MLB, and rightfully so. I mean, they just didn't give it to him. I mean, he definitely earned it. Alex Gordon, even at 36 years old, was one of the better outfielders, period, in the big leagues. So good for him. All right, now moving on to the infield. This guy is a beast. Nolan Arenado wins his 8th Gold Glove, and I don't think he's even 30 yet. I think he's won, 8 consecutive Gold Gloves. this guy, he's getting up there with Brooks Robinson. And when you get, and I'm not just saying that, like he's really good. Watching him make plays at the hot corner is very impressive. He can. I'm almost positive that he can be laying flat on his back and throw a ball over to first base in time to get somebody running from home. This guy's got a cannon of an arm, and hopefully the Rockies organization can please him because I know there was some during the season and right before the season started there was a little I don't know what would like there was some comments made by Arenado that he was displeased with the Rockies organization. So hopefully they can get him some better players around him and keep him happy because like Alex Gordon, this is a guy who I think should stay with the Rockies his entire career. And then third base, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa wins the Gold Glove. This guy used to be a catcher, and now he's a full-time infielder. So the Texas Rangers may have found something here. When you have versatility when you're playing catcher, and I think you can also play a little bit of second base too. So having those two secondary positions is very valuable to a team because usually the structure is you carry two catchers, and that is it. But with Kiner-Falefa on the roster, you can really only carry one and have him platoon at both catcher and third base. And obviously we know he can field third base because he won a Gold Glove, obviously. And he's only 25 years old, so this guy has a lot to improve on, and maybe he can be a full-time third baseman from years to come and maybe win a couple more Gold Gloves. Moving on to shortstop, my Chicago Cub Javier Baez wins a Gold Glove, and the offense for Javi wasn't there this year, but he did make some very good defensive plays this year. But this one did surprise me. I thought Fernando Tatis would have won this award, maybe even Dansby Swanson. So this one did shock me a little bit. I watched every single Cup game, and I did watch Baez make a couple of really impressive plays, don't get me wrong. But I think, Tatis or Swanson deserved the award a little bit more, but being a Cub fan, I'm not going to complain, and I don't think Javi's complaining either. And I bet you Javi will be the first guy who tells you that he didn't really deserve it this year, and he needs to be better. So, it's just something to put on the trophy case, and I think it's his first. So it's pretty historic one for Javi. And I can't remember the last time a Cub won a Golden Glove at shortstop. I don't think Castro ever did. Of course, Castro may have played primarily second base, but great for Javi. Then in the AL, J.P. Crawford wins the Gold Glove. He had a very impressive bounce back season. He hasn't been very good after being, I think, the number 2 rated prospect a couple years ago, and didn't really find his way in Philadelphia, but got traded to Seattle and kind of had a couple of down years. But I think he found his stride in 2020. He's only 25 years old, so he can have a ascendance. We'll say this. He might be able to ascend to one of the better defensive shortstops in the game. And I hope he does. When these guys are highly rated coming out of the minor leagues, I'm always sad when they don't always pan out. And, up to this point, J.P. Crawford obviously has not lived up to the high expectations that many executives around the league held him to. But maybe this is the start of the beginning of him becoming that all-star shortstop that everybody thought he could be. All right, next up, second base. Colton Wong of the St. Louis Cardinals gets the award. He's 30 years old, and the Cardinals have to make a decision because I know he's got an option coming up, so they're going to have to come up with some cash if they want to keep this guy around because he can definitely do it in all facets of the game. He's great defensively. He's got a great baseball IQ, and he can hit the ball very well. And this is his second Gold Glove in as many years, and he's really good. He's a great defensive second baseman, and if the Cardinals don't choose to re-sign him, somebody will, and he's going to get a lot of money. I looked it up real quick, and the Cardinals did decline his option. So if they don't have enough money to sign him, he's going to get a lot of scratch somewhere. Then in the AL, Cesar Hernandez wins the AL Gold Glove, and definitely one of the better years of his career. I think he had a WAR, like a defensive WAR of almost one, and this is his first Gold Glove. I think he's like only like 26 or 27. No young buck. He should be a veteran at this point, but we see this a lot with guys. They kind of sputter the first couple of years in the big leagues, and then all of a sudden they kind of turn the switch and then become a mainstay. And definitely Caesar is definitely in that conversation of being able to stay at second base for a very, very long time. Next up, first base, and this might come out a little biased, but I think Anthony Rizzo might be the best defensive first baseman in the big leagues for the last, I don't know, 8 years maybe. Watching him play first base is absolutely amazing. Being a first baseman, you really don't get. No one really takes a look at your arm, but he's got a really good arm. I mean, if you really think about it, when he makes some throws over to third base, they're not lobs. I mean, he zips it over there pretty fast, and he's really good with the glove. I've seen him make some snags right out of the air where it takes, like, you got to have some really good reaction time, and he just snags it out of the air, and then all the acrobatic stuff he does out of bounds for balls, I mean, deservingly so. Freddie Freeman's really good at defense, but I think Anthony Rizzo is just better. We'll talk about Freddie Freeman here in a minute. And then on the AL side of things, the rookie, Evan White, the former 17th overall draft choice in the 2017 draft, took home his first career Gold Glove at only 24 years old. And this is why this guy was drafted. They thought that this guy was going to be able to compete for a Gold Glove year in and year out and contribute offensively. Now, they do worry that maybe the bat isn't all the way there yet, but the glove has always been there, and that's one of the main reasons why he went number 17th overall. So he's got a great start to his career in a unusual season. So hopefully Evan White can continue this trend of being really good at first base, because watching him, he does have a very nice swing, and from all reports I've read, he's a nice guy. So I hope the best to him. So that was all the Gold Glove winners, and just quickly we're gonna talk about the other awards. So like the Manager of the Year and Rookie of the Year and all the good jazz. So for the finalists of NL Manager of the Year, Don Mattingly, David Ross, and Jace Tigler of the Padres, Ross of the Cubs, and Mattingly of Miami. Personally, I think Mattingly should win this award just because of what Miami's had to go through this season. Obviously we all know that Miami's one of the worst teams last season, and then they were able to come back from a very bad COVID. They got hit by COVID pretty hard, and were able to go to the playoffs and beat my Cubs in the first round of the playoffs with a roster that was really lacking star power. And they did give the Braves a run for their money at some point. So to me, I think Don Mattingly should win this award. And then moving on to the AL, the finalists are Kevin Cash of the Rays, Charlie Montoyo from the Blue Jays, and Rick Renteria of the White Sox. And a guy to me who should be on this is Dusty Baker, because again, I've said this on the show before, I do not condone what the Houston Astros did, and it does make me mad that they were not punished more than they were. But taking into account what Dusty had to do, he was hired late. Coming off the the firing and suspension of both the manager and the general manager, he had a tough situation to handle, and it kind of annoys me that he wasn't on this list, because they did go to the playoffs and did win a playoff game, or a playoff series rather. So I would have wished to see him on this list instead of maybe Rick Renteria, because Rick is no longer with the White Sox. But I'm not a writer for the big league, so I really don't have a say. But what I can say is my opinion on who's going to win this award, and I think it's going to be Kevin Cash. When you take a look at the roster of the Rays and their salary, it's not a lot. I saw a graphic. I think I've talked about this on the show, but I saw a graphic going into the World Series that between Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts, they make more money than the entire Rays roster, which was outrageous to me. And you know, say what you will about the decision to pull Snell in this Game 7. Cash does have a very analytical look on things, and it has helped him get to a 40-20 record this year, and they were really good last year. So, to me, I think Kevin Cash wins AL Manager of the Year. Then moving on from Manager of the Year to Rookie of the Year, we're going to talk about the AL finalists: Christian Javier of the Houston Astros, Kyle Lewis of the Seattle Mariners, and Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox. Now, we did talk about how Robert did win a Gold Glove. However, I do not believe that he was Rookie of the Year good. Like, I don't think he was good enough to be a Rookie of the Year. Don't get me wrong, he was really good, but everyone was betting that this guy was going to win, and he, for the first month and a half of the season, I mean, it was looking like that, and then he kind of hit a dry spell in the middle, then came back and then hit another slump right at the end of the year, and that right at the end of the year slump is, I think, what cost him the Rookie of the Year. But a guy who didn't disappoint in his rookie debut was Kyle Lewis. He was a first-round pick a couple years ago, and he led all rookies, I think, with 10 or 11 home runs. And this guy just balled out all season long, and I think he's going to be the winner of the award. And I think Javier might be right behind him. I think he was in 12 appearances, and I think most of those were starts. And he was really impressive. I think he had a whip of one or just under one. And, he was very impressive. The fastball was really good. And with Garrett Cole leaving and Javier stepping in, I think he did a somewhat of a good job. When Garrett Cole leaves, it's kind of some big shoes to fill. And, if he does win this award, that's a great step to becoming the next Houston Astros version of Garrett Cole. The Garrett Cole in Pittsburgh wasn't all that great, but as soon as he got to Houston, he was lights out, and hopefully Javier can do that. But I do think that Kyle Lewis is going to win AL Rookie of the Year. And then on the NL side of things, Alec Bohm of the Phillies, Jake Cronworth of the San Diego Padres, and Devin Williams of the Milwaukee Brewers are the finalists for the NL Rookie of the Year. To me, it's no question Devin Williams has got to win this award. Not to say that Cronenworth wasn't good, because he was really good, and Baum was really good too, but Devin Williams just had an unreal season. 26 years old, and he allowed one run. That's right, one run in 27 innings. That is unbelievable. And in 27 innings, he struck out 53 batters. That's almost 2 per inning. Unbelievable. I saw him a lot, and I was like, not this guy again, being a Cub fan. But this guy just dominates. He's got a great changeup. I think that's really the pitch that he really prides himself on. He's got a really good changeup. And the fastball's really good, too. I think he tops somewhere 97. So if he continues this pace, he's going to be one of the greatest relievers of all time, just on the stat line, period. But it's going to be very hard to duplicate that next year. But if he does duplicate this next year, we're going to have a dangerous reliever for a long time. So I think he's going to win NL Rookie of the Year. Then Cy Young, to me, I think this is Trevor Bauer of the Cincinnati Reds. All season long, he was just absolutely lights out. Not to say that Jacob deGrom, who has won, I think, was it 2 or 3 in a row, wasn't good, because he obviously was. And Yu Darvish was absolutely lights out this year after having a bad first half of the year last year, and then coming back in the second half and being absolutely dominant. He continued that. However, he did struggle right at the end of the year, and I think his last 3 starts, I think he gave up 2 runs and then maybe another run, and it kind of bumped up his ERA, and then I think Bauer stole it from him. Bauer is just he's just that good. And he's a free agent this year, and We all were wondering what's going to happen. Is he going to stay in Cincinnati, or is he going to stay true to what he says, and he's only going to sign a 1-year contract with somebody? And who knows? I mean, he's pitched in both the AL and NL, so we know he can do both. But wherever he goes, he's going to get a lot of money, and that lot of money will probably go up if he wins this award, especially if it's a 1-year contract. Now, in terms of the AL Cy Young Award, it is Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians, Kenta Maeda of the Minnesota Twins rather, and Hyun-Jin Ryu of the Toronto Blue Jays. All had great seasons, but to me, Bieber was just absolutely the only guy here. ERA of 1.63, had 122 strikeouts in like 12 starts, which is just mind-boggling. He definitely came out and filled Corey Kluber's role perfectly. Corey Kluber was there a long time, won himself a Cy Young, and took them to the playoffs and ultimately to a World Series. Unfortunately, they were unable to win that. But Shane Bieber has definitely stepped in and filled the shoes of Corey Kluber in probably more ways than people thought. I mean, he won the Triple Crown, and he's a beast, man. I'm glad my Cubs don't have to face him every 19 times or however many times a year. He's really good, and I think he's going to take the Cy Young in the AL. Now, the big award, the MVP. For the AL, it's Jose Abreu of the White Sox, DJ LeMahieu of the Yankees, and Jose Ramirez of the Indians. Now, Jose Ramirez of the Indians, he had a somewhat of a down year at the beginning, and then kind of rose back up. And DJ, man, we just all know what DJ does. He doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but boy, can he really swing it and get on base at a decent, not even a decent amount, at a really good clip. But I think Jose Abreu should take this award. 60 RBIs in 60 games played that led the majors, had 19 home runs. This guy, he's been so good for so long, and I feel like because the White Sox haven't been really, they haven't been a contender in so long, people haven't really noticed it. But this guy is a professional hitter, and I really hope that he does win the MVP because to me, when I just look at stats, DJ has a high batting average, and Jose Ramirez does his normal thing. But Jose Abreu, whenever the White Sox called on him to come through, he came through every single time. And I truly believe that he was the best player in the American League this year. That's a bold statement, but I truly believe it. Just look at the stats. He had a slugging percentage north of 600, had almost 80 hits in 60 games, and led all players in the majors with 60 RBIs. This guy is an absolute tank, and I hope he wins the award just out of principle. And then in terms of the NL, the finalists are Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who we discussed earlier, Freddie Freeman of the Atlanta Braves, and Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. To me, it's Betts, and it's not even close. For some people, they might say Freeman, and some might even say Machado. But to me, it's Betts, no doubt. Freddie Freeman is a close second, but to me, it's not even a question. This guy's been the best player in the league for the last couple of years, and seeing him play in the World Series and making all the plays that he did, and winning a Gold Glove, and putting up video game numbers with the bat, this guy deserves the MVP award. He's just so good in every facet of the game. He steals bases. He's got a great arm. He plays good defense. He can hit for average, and he can hit home runs. I mean, this guy just does everything. And that culminated in a World Series for his team this year. And he clearly did something because they've gotten there a few times, the Dodgers, to the World Series and haven't been really been able to get over the hump. But as soon as they bring in Betts, boom, they make it to the World Series and win. So props to him and the Dodgers, but I do believe Mookie Betts will be the NL MVP award winner. So that was the MLB news for currently it is November 4th. And there's a lot of big things there. The award winners and the Gold Gloves. But now we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna start talking about college football a little bit. Just talking about the top 25. One note before we get started. I know that the Wisconsin game was canceled again due to some small COVID breakouts in Wisconsin's camp. So once again, for the second week in a row, Wisconsin will not be playing in the Big Ten, and they played Purdue, or we're going to play Purdue at least. So let's get right into it. The first game of the week, the Monday games or not Monday, the Friday games between number 11 ranked Miami versus NC State. Not to me. I think Miami's just going to walk up and down this North Carolina State defense. Derek King is he's great. He's definitely been the highlight of the Miami team, I do believe. Coming over from Houston, I believe. He's been really solid and really good. He's looking to have an NFL future. Miami is a 10.5 point favorite in this game, and the over/under is set at 59. And I think that's right about right. Right about right. I think that is set at the right amount. There we go. Miami scores a lot of points, and NC State does have a pretty good offense. So this game reaching 60 would not surprise me whatsoever. And I'm going to take Miami. I'm going to take them by a score of like, I don't know, about probably like 47 to, I don't know, whatever the rest, 47 minus, or 59 minus 47. I think Miami's going to score a lot of points in this game. Next up, at 8:45, the Miami game is at 6:30, and now BYU plays number 21st ranked Boise State at 8:45. The number 9 Cougars will go to Boise, and Zach Wilson takes his very talented squad up against a very good Boise State team. But BYU is 7-0. And the Boise State Broncos are 2-0. And the over/under is set at 61 points, with BYU being a 3-point favorite. I think this might be an underrated game. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the week. I do believe that BYU is going to pull this out right at the end. I think it's going to be like tied all the way up until maybe the fourth quarter. And then I think Zach Wilson is just going to be able to make a couple of key throws to put his team in a position to win the game. And if the over-under is correct, or not the over-under, the line at 3.5, or not 3 points favored to be BYU, I think they're going to be able to hit that with a game-winning field goal right at the end. BYU final score 33 to 30. That's my prediction. And then moving on to the Saturday games. Number 23, Michigan, off the loss to Michigan State, goes to number 13 ranked Indiana. And Michigan, however, is a favorite by 3.5 points, and the over/under is set at 54. I'm not really understanding why Indiana is not the favorite in this game. Michigan came out laid egg against an unranked Michigan State team and did not look particularly well on offense. This one really does shock me. I'm taking the Indiana Hoosiers here. I'm going to be taking the upset, but I think Indiana's going to win this game by 10 points. To me, Michigan's offense looks sluggish. Joe Milton does look good, but there was some key drops by the wide receiver core that were just unexcusable and were one of the reasons why Michigan lost that game last week. So I'm definitely taking Indiana, the home team, in this game. I don't know if they're going to reach the 54 over/under, but I'm definitely taking Indiana by at least 14. Then next up, number 18, SMU goes to Temple, and no question here, SMU is a almost 18-point favorite. Shane Buechele, I've talked about it on this podcast many times. He's really good. He can throw the ball all over the field. And Ulysses Bentley, he's really good. I think he's an underrated back. Temple just hasn't been very good this season. They just, I don't know. To me, they look sluggish almost, and it just I wouldn't say they don't compete because they do, but to me they just I don't know. There's just something about this team that doesn't seem like they're really ready on game day. So no question here. I think SMU wins by at least 20. Next up, one of my favorite programs, Arizona State goes to USC. One of the reasons why I really like Arizona State is because when they hired Herm Edwards, it was a head scratcher for me. Herm hasn't been coaching for I don't know like at least 5 years, and Arizona State picks him up, and he's definitely changed the culture. And when Herm was on ESPN, love the way he talked, and he's just a guy who commands respect and always is preaching taking accountability for your actions, and that speaks to me. And you can clearly tell it in this Arizona State team. They, you know, they compete game in, game out. They don't complain, and give 100% week in and week out. However, when they play teams like USC, I think they're gonna get smacked. This is the first game for both teams, so we really don't know what's gonna happen. USC is one of those teams that always ends up ranked early in the season, and then somehow or another lays an egg, and it's a little disappointing because they have these aspirations of being Pac-12 champs and then never really fulfill them. And Arizona State, on the other hand, I remember last year they played Michigan in a bowl game and it looked really good, so hopefully they can continue that. But I'm going to take USC in this game. USC is a almost 11-point favorite, and the over/under is set at 58.5 points. That sounds right to me. I think this is going to be not a good game, but I only think USC is going to win by maybe like 10 points. So I hope I'm wrong because I'm a big supporter of Herm Edwards in the Arizona State program, but I do believe USC will take this game. Next up, number 22, Texas hosts West Virginia, and Texas coming off a huge win, overtime win against one of the better teams in college football, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and Sam Ehlinger looked good, and Texas's defense made plays at the end of the game that were really crucial for their victory over Oklahoma State, and the most notably is the sack of the Oklahoma State quarterback right at the end of the game. Both the names, sometimes I'm just really bad with names, and the names of the quarterback of OK State and the guy who made the tackle, the sack is escaping me, but he's really good, the guy who made the play. He was in the backfield all game long. And I've got a feeling he's going to be doing the same to this West Virginia offensive line. Jared Doege has looked really good, and I've talked about it on this podcast, how I think he's an NFL caliber quarterback. And they do score a lot of points, but guess what? So does Texas. So I think this is going to be a slugfest. The over-under is set at 55, which to me is outrageous. I think this game is going to go well into the 60s. And Texas is 6.5-point favorite, which I think is right. I think Texas is going to win it by a touchdown at least. This is going to be an exciting game, and this is the game of the week for me. Next up, number 25 Liberty goes to Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech is a 14.5-point favorite, and the over-under is set at almost 68 points. So a lot of scoring going to be happening in this game projected, and I think so too. Malik Willis has made some plays this season, and Liberty's undefeated. So they've got a good defense, they got a good run game, and they have the ability to make some plays down the field. And I don't know if West Virginia is going to be able to compete with that. West Virginia has, struggled. I know they're 4-2, but in some of their games they just haven't looked sharp. So this is definitely a game where they have to be on all of their. They're going to be firing on all cylinders because Liberty is 6-0 and they're making a look at one of the New Year's Six Bowls. So I'm going to take Liberty in this game just because they are ranked. So, and I know rankings don't always mean anything, but obviously they have shown the committee that they can compete, and I think they're going to be able to pull this one out in Blacksburg. So that's my prediction. I think they're going to win by at least maybe 7 points. Next up, 16th ranked Marshall hosts the University of Massachusetts, and Marshall is a 45.5 point favorite, and the over/under is set at 55.5 points. So Grant Wells and his fighting herd, thundering herd offense will I do believe walk up and down this UMass defense. I've actually personally watched UMass play. Now, granted, this was a couple years ago, but nothing has changed. They're not very good. So I'm definitely taking Marshall in this game. Next up, we have number 8 ranked Florida plays 5th ranked Georgia. And if the Texas-West Virginia game is not the game of the week, this definitely will be, because these are two powerhouses who have a lot of talent on their squads. Kyle Trask is a Heisman Trophy candidate, and Zamir White is a very good running back. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, I think. 52.5 point over/under. I think that's a little low. To me, I would set the over/under at 60. I think whoever's going to go to 30 points first is going to win this game. And Georgia is favored by 3.5 points. Man, this is a tough game because I've watched both Florida and Georgia play, and they are both firing on all cylinders. I know they've both got one loss, but they are definitely competing for a spot in Atlanta. But we'll have to wait and see. But, man, if I had to pick, it's in Florida. I'm going to take the Gators. I think they are just a better team overall. I know the ranking doesn't really say that, but I think the combination of Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts is going to be too much for the Georgia defense. Following that game, number 6 Cincinnati hosts unranked Houston, and I'm just going to keep going with Cincinnati. Nick and I talked about it last week. Cincinnati's just a great program, and they are becoming the UCF of 2020. They are favored by 13.5 points, and Clayton Tune is a good quarterback for the Cougars, but I think it's just going to be too much. The Cincinnati is just, I keep saying I think, I know, but Cincinnati, I think, is just going to be a better team, and they're going to be able to pull this out. So not too much to talk about. The next game, there's really nothing to talk about. Number 19 Oklahoma plays Kansas, and Oklahoma's a 38-point favorite. That's all you really need to know. Kansas isn't very good, and Oklahoma's going to walk all over. Next up, Oklahoma State plays a Kansas State team in Kansas. Both of these teams lost last week, and they're both looking for redemption. However, I do believe Oklahoma State is just going to be too much for the Kansas State defense to handle. Chuba Hubbard is, hey man, he's good. He's really good, and so is Tylan Wallace. Oklahoma State has a great blend of passing and running, and I think they're just going to be able to outscore a Kansas State team that kind of struggled last week. The over/under is set at 46, and Oklahoma State is a 12.5 point favorite, which I think is correct. I do believe that Oklahoma State is going to win by about almost 2 touchdowns. Following that game, we started getting into the night games. Number 7 ranked Texas A&M plays South Carolina. Texas A&M is a 10-point favorite, and the over/under is set at 60 points. Well, it's 59, but I'm going 60. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. This might be a trap game for Texas A&M. I know Kellen Mond. I've seen him play a lot, and I think he does have a future at the next level, but he is susceptible to making some kind of head-scratching mistakes, and I think South Carolina might be able to capitalize on those mistakes. I do think that Texas A&M will win this game, but it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of folks think. Number 17th ranked Iowa State plays Baylor this week, and since the departure of Matt Rhule to the NFL, Baylor has just not looked good. They look a little lost out there, and Why wouldn't you, right? You lost your head coach that took you from a struggling team, and last year a lot of people thought that they should have been in the playoff, and now here they are, 1-3, playing a very good Iowa State team. I've said it numerous times on this podcast that I think that Brock Purdy is one of the better quarterbacks in the nation, and I think he's going to be able to exploit the Baylor defense and probably throw for about 3 touchdowns and do cover the spread. The Oklahoma State Cyclones are 14-point favorite, and I think that's about. Next up, we have number 1 ranked Clemson versus number 4 ranked Notre Dame. This is going to be a good game. To me, it's not going to be game of the week, but this is going to be a very exciting game. Kudos to Clemson for being able to win without Trevor Lawrence last week, and the true freshman stepped in and made a lot of plays. However, I think Notre Dame's could be able to take Clemson out. I think this Notre Dame defense is going to be able to. I think they're going to be able to confuse the freshman. I don't want to butcher his last name, so I'll just call him David. I think that's his first name. Clemson quarterback. They're going to be able to confuse him, and I think he might throw 1 or 2 costly interceptions in this game. And what we've seen from Notre Dame this year, every obstacle you put in front of them, they just steamroll them. Last week they played Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech kind of stayed with them for a little bit, but then at the end of the day, Notre Dame just pulled away. Ian Book is really good. I think he's an underrated quarterback, and I think they're going to be able to go and beat Clemson on their home turf. So this might be one of the best games of the week. One game that won't be is number 3 ranked Ohio State playing Rutgers. To me, Rutgers made a horrible decision coming to the Big Ten because ever since they've done that, they have not been very good. And Justin Fields is going to eat this Rutgers secondary up. And when he doesn't want to throw the ball, Master Teague is just going to run all over them. So, sorry, Rutgers, this is not going to look good for you. Another Pac-12 game. Number 12, Oregon plays their first game of the year in Eugene against the Stanford Cardinal. I'm taking Oregon in this game. I just think they have a better football team, and David Shaw is one of the better coaches in the NCAA. But they're I wouldn't say they're lost, but they're maybe trying to find themselves after a couple of down years in a row. So I'm just going to be taking the better football team here in Oregon. Not too much to say about that. Next game, number 15th ranked Coastal Carolina, undefeated Coastal Carolina, might I add, is playing South Alabama. No question here, Coastal Carolina is going to win by at least 20 points. The over-under is set at 55.5, and Coastal Carolina is probably going to score most of those. Grayson McCall has been lights out this season, and I think he's just going to be able to exploit the defense of the South Alabama Cougars. I think that's what they're called. So that's all the news, or not the news, but that's those upcoming games for the top 25 in the NCAA. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the NFL. We're going to try and speed through this a little bit. I know I always say that, but this week I'm going to try my best to speed this up. So, the Thursday night game, the Green Bay Packers go to San Francisco, and I'm not trying to be biased here, but I do believe that Green Bay is going to be able to pull this one out. Now, I know Green Bay has injuries to their backfield. A.J. Dillon was put on the COVID-19 list, and Jamal Williams was put on the reserve list, COVID-19 reserve list, because they thought he was in high contact with A.J. Dillon. So we have 2 running backs out, but Aaron Jones does look like he's going to be able to come back. So that's going to be a big need for the offense. But on the San Francisco 49ers side, they're losing Jimmy Garoppolo. George Kittle is not playing, and they've been decimated with injuries all season long, and I think it's going to be too much to handle. So I'm going with Green Bay in this game. So, start of the Sunday games, we have Giants against the football team, and I think the football team is just going to pull it out. I think Ron Rivera's got his guys going in the right direction. Now, I don't believe they're going to be a playoff team by any of the stretch of the imagination, but I think they are going to be able to compete in a lot of games down the stretch. And as we reach the midway point of the season, I think that this Washington football team will be on the rise. I don't think they're going to win more than 6 games, but they are going to be very competitive and not an easy out. So I'm taking the Washington football team by at least a score and a half. Next up, Bears versus the Titans. The Titans lost last week to a very bad Bengals team. However, they just acquired cornerback Desmond King from the almost said San Diego, from the Los Angeles Chargers. So that just boosted their secondary, and that's going to be very hard for this Bears offense to come. All right, let me rephrase that. The Bears offense is going to have a tough time against this Titans defense. Nick Foles didn't look really good at all last week. He missed some wide open throws and made a couple of costly interceptions. And at the end of the day, this Bears offense let him down. The defense was outstanding all game long, but the defense shouldn't be asked to stop the offense or the opposing offense every single drive. And that's what the Bears have been doing lately, and it's not been a winning formula. So I do believe the Titans will be taking this game somewhere in the realm of 31-17. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to score a lot of points, especially with the Titans acquiring Desmond King. Next up, we have an NFC North matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings had a big win over Green Bay last week off the heels of a magnificent performance from Dalvin Cook, and I have a feeling that he's going to repeat that performance against the struggling Lions defense. Now, they did go out and acquire Everson Griffin from the Cowboys, but I don't think that's going to be enough to stop this workhorse of a back of Dalvin Cook. I'm taking the Vikings by at least 3 scores. Following that game, or at least maybe during that game, Kansas City Chiefs will be playing the Carolina Panthers, and no question, Kansas City will be defeating the Carolina Panthers. Carolina has looked good this year, but not great. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been great all season long, and they are going to be able to put up at least 40 points against a very young and unexperienced Panthers defense. And then the last one of the last games of the 12 o'clock spot. Maybe not. No, that's completely wrong. Just scratch that. Restart. The Houston Texans, after not trading Will Fuller, play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jacksonville Jaguars will be starting rookie quarterback Jake Luton, a 6th-round draft choice from Oregon State. And we'll have to wait and see, because the last time they started the 6th-round quarterback, it ended up pretty well, a.k.a. Gardner Minshew. So we'll just have to wait and see, but I think that the Houston Texans offense will be able to come alive against a somewhat struggling Jaguars defense. So I'm going to take the Houston Texans here by at least 2 scores. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have himself a day. Next up is the Ravens against the Colts, one of the premier matchups of the week. Both teams at 5-2, and the Ravens are, I think, going to be very annoyed that they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Lamar Jackson had 4 turnovers in the game. And so not only him, but I think John Harbaugh is going to try and neutralize those. And I think the Ravens will come out and will run the football all day long, just like they did last year. And I don't know if Indianapolis is going to be able to combat that. Phillip Rivers has not been very good all year round. And, they kind of remind me of the Bears. I think they have a better offense, obviously, than the Bears, but they do rely heavily on their defense, and I think the Ravens are going to be able to run the ball and control the clock and wear the defense down. So I'm taking the Ravens by 2 scores. 6-1 Seattle goes to 6-2 Buffalo, and this is going to be my game of the week. Both teams very good, and this could be a potential Super Bowl matchup because to me, in my eyes, the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFC. Russell Wilson is a beast. DK Metcalf is coming into his own. And this offensive line has actually been good. When was the last time you could say that about a Seattle Seahawks offensive line? It's been a long time. But on the flip side, the Buffalo Bills are a well-oiled machine, and Sean McDermott has his guys ready for anything thrown their way. I'm taking Bills Mafia in this game by 3 points. This is going to come down to a game-winning field goal, and I think the Bills are going to be able to pull it out against the 6-1 Seattle Seahawks. The last of the 12 o'clock games is what I meant to say earlier, but kind of botched it up. But the Denver Broncos at 3-4 will be playing the dysfunctional Atlanta Falcons. And now, I hate to say dysfunctional, but that's what they are. They just don't have an identity after firing head coach Dan Quinn and falling behind in the last couple of weeks and just giving up big leads. It's just demoralizing for a team. And, both Matt Ryan and Julio Jones were in trade conversations all week this past week. So, that also has to be hard for a guy who's both guys who have, had their whole careers there and built homes there. So I'm going to take the Broncos here. I think Drew Lock's the comeback. I think this is going to be a game where we finally see Drew Lock. He had an injury a couple weeks ago, and I think we're finally going to get a fully healthy Drew Lock, and he's going to be able to throw to his playmakers. And I think they're also going to be able to run the ball very effectively. Next up, 4-3 Raiders go to the 2-5 Los Angeles Chargers, and I'm taking John Gruden and his Raiders to go ahead and put up a lot of points and be able to stop what seems unstoppable Justin Herbert. At some point, Herbert's going to slip up during his rookie season, and I think a savvy head coach like John Gruden has the knowledge to do so. And I'm going to take the Raiders by at least maybe it's 2 scores and like 10 points. I'm going to take the Raiders. Next up, 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers are going to Jerry World to play the 2-6 Cowboys, and no questions asked here. The Steelers are going to be able to win this game. No problem. I think they announced the Cowboys that they're not going to be starting Ben DiNucci. They're going to be either going with Cooper Rush or his name's escaping me, but somebody else. Mike McCarthy said he wanted some experience at the quarterback position, but to me it's going to be no contest. I'm taking the Steelers by at least 21 points. Next up is the 4-3 Dolphins going to the number 1 ranked offense, the Arizona Cardinals, 5-2, to a second game as a starter. Last week he looked really good, led them to a win over a very good St. Louis Rams team. So he's got all the confidence in the world. However, I do believe that Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are going to be able to squash his confidence. No Kyler plays on offense, but there's a reason why this team is the number 1 offense in the league, and I think the Dolphins are going to find out firsthand why this team is so good offensively. And I think they're going to be able to make some key stops, particularly on 3rd down, and maybe force a couple of some errant throws from Tua, and maybe pick one of those passes off. So I'm taking the Cardinals by 2 scores. The Sunday night game, the 5-2 Saints go to the 6-2 Buccaneers, and this is going to be a good game. But I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to exploit the fact that Drew Brees does not look like he can throw the ball more than 20 yards downfield with any zip to it. To me, when he's just throwing 20 yards down the field, it's like a rubber ducky. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a very good defense, and if they want to win the game, the Saints that is, Drew Brees is going to have to throw the ball down the field, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. They don't really have a deep threat, and even if they did, I don't know if he can get it there. So I'm taking the Bucs by I'm taking them by 10. Then the Monday night game, the 2-5 New England Patriots are playing the other football team in New York. They're also known as the Jets. Jets. I don't even want to talk about the Jets. They're just a disgrace to the National Football League, and somehow every week I come on the show, somehow, some way, Adam Gase still has his job. And, until then, I don't think they're going to win a game. So I'm taking Bill Belichick and Cam Newton and their Patriots to go ahead and smash this Jets defense. So that is everything for the NFL and everything I've covered today. So I just want to thank you for joining me for this episode of the AC Let's Do It podcast. Next week, it'll be, hopefully, we can get Nick on, but if it's not, it'll just be me. Same time next week. And if you haven't already checked it out, make sure you go check out the AC Let's Do It Instagram page at the same name, AC Let's Do It. We post content over there, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It just helps me out a little bit more, and I just want to thank you guys again for listening. I babble on and on and on, so please leave comments. I would like to hear your thoughts on the upcoming games and the results. So once again, thank you for listening. I've been Dominic Archer, and this has been the Ace Let's Do It podcast.